The Thieves Guild, then. Alright, I'm ambivalent towards this one because on one hand nearly everything about it is terrible, but on the other hand I've played through the Mage's questline already, so I'm somewhat piqued when it comes to horrible questlines. So it starts when you meet up with, that's supposed to be a Scottish accent? Also known as Brynjolf, and he assumes, regardless of your financial status, that you've never worked a day in your life and asks if you want to help him teach some dark elf bloke a lesson. We never find out what this dark elf did wrong, but nevertheless we frame him for robbery, and admittedly due to a bug, he's jailed for life. God, don't I start this questline off feeling warm and fuzzy. After that, we head down to the Ratway, where, assuming you haven't been there before, you have to slaughter a shed load of beggars in order to make it to the Ragged Flagon. I'm not sure how the other thieves slipped in and out without that classist display of mass murder. So once we're there, we're introduced to our new companions who all hate the shed out of us. I initially considered them to be really terrible supporting characters, but then I remembered that Mage's college students, as well as Delphine, exists, so actually I should be grateful. We're then told to go rough up 3 shopkeepers for protection money. Are you spotting a trend here? We're not doing any thieving. Not proper thieving, anyway. We're just running around being absolute jerks to people. I know the Thieves Guild is supposed to have fallen from grace following the romantic Robin Hood-esque days of Oblivion, but there's falling from grace, and then there's replacing noble, likeable characters with sleazy elbows. You just don't feel the same job satisfaction. Once we've made Riften a worse place to live, we're then made a proper guildie and we get to the thick of the plot. Resident matriarch Raven Blackbriar, who has the Thieves Guild in her pocket, though the specifics of that were never really told about, is upset because the bloke who provides the honey for her mead is selling shop and putting her in a rough spot. So we go over to the bee farm, steal the deed, ooh, thieving, and then set all the beehives on fire. So arson, and depending on your affinity with animals, mass murder. We also kill a shed load of mercenaries, and I'm not convinced that there's any way to actually not do this outside of having a good stockpile of invisibility potions, which I don't know how to make. Regardless, this Thieves Guild isn't too fussed about murder. After this, we meet Maven herself. Initially, I didn't like Maven, but after a good think, I've decided that no, she's alright. Of all the absolute douchebags in Skyrim, she's the only one who actually has earned it. You've got Delphine acting like a smug, domineering twit because she belongs to an order that used to be great but hasn't been relevant for centuries and was, even at its height, a bit useless at its job. You've got minor characters sneering and snobbing at you all the time, even though you could cut them down in the middle of the street and the fine you'd incur would barely even scratch the surface of your riches. But then you've got Maven, a woman who got herself into a position of power through a lifetime of hard work. Dirty, sleazy work, but still hard, no doubt. So yeah, of all people, she gets to be a jerk. Anyway, she wants us to drive another meadery out of business so that she can take over, and to do that we ruin the life of its owner by tainting his mead on the day he happens to be feeding some to a guard captain. There's a mystery surrounding how he got the money to start up his meadery, and there's a mysterious puppet master behind all the recent upsets, but it's so boring. We pad out this dull, unengaging plot a bit longer by tracking down a Thieves Guild contact who may know what's up. Once we kill everyone he's ever met and then threaten the man himself, this contact points us to Carlia. The guild leader, Mercer Frey, exposits that Carlia was a traitor who killed the previous leader, Gallus, and works out where she might be hiding. The dungeon run with Frey I actually quite like because it contains an element so lacking in Skyrim storytelling. Subtle foreshadowing. That's the term I'm trying to use. Foreshadowing. That he's able to so easily and casually unlock any door, no matter how complex, is a hint to the fact that he owns the skeleton key, which we don't find out till a fair bit later. That's neato. So we find Carlia by way of being shot in the face by her, and in the resulting conversation it turns out that Frey is in fact the evil traitor, and that Carlia was framed and on the run ever since. This questline has not been going on very long, and already so many people have been framed. Clearly it's Mercer's favourite thing to do ever, because we just don't stop doing it. Okay, one of the framings was Maven's idea, but still, so much framing. So since most storylines save their shocking plot twists till the climax, Bethesda now realises that they need to pad the hell out of this thing, and so it turns out that Gallus' journal, which proves Carlia's innocence, is in a dead language, and so we have to go to the authority on said language, murder all his staff members, get a translating dictionary, translate the journal, and then show the other Thieves Guild members, who seemed so ready to believe Carlia, no doubt due to the fact that Mercer has already fled the guild for some reason, that I doubt I even needed the journal. Suddenly Daedra, Early on in this questline, you hear mutterings that the guild is cursed, and it turns out it's true. See, the Thieves Guild, or at least a select part of it known as Nightingales, worship the Daedric Prince Nocturnal. But 25 years ago, when Mercer killed Gallus, he stole the skeleton key, which he has been using to steal from the Thieves Guild itself, but suddenly if I care, which is her artifact. Upset at it being stolen, she very passively aggressively cursed the guild to having mildly bad luck, slowly and slowly getting less mild to the point that the bad luck is now kind of noticeable. What a horrible, dreadful curse. And I mean that in the sarcastic sense, but also in a very genuine sense. That's just stupid. Naturally, the logical thing to do is pledge our soul to Nocturnal alongside Brynjolf, then use her favour to help track down and kill Mercer. We do so, then we return the skeleton key to its rightful place, the Twilight Sepulchre, which even though Carlia refused to follow us in out of shame, is somehow instantly at our side once we've done the job. Sure, whatever. So without much fanfare, the guild is saved from bad luck by bad luck and Gallus, who by some weird contrived bit of stupidity didn't have his sense of identity stripped away when every other Nightingale did, can now jaunt off to the Evergloam, Nocturnal's realm of oblivion, I assume, in peace. This story is oftentimes clumsily handled. The fact that this mead scandal is meant to be of any interest whatsoever, the fact that it's even meant to be considered clever on Carlia's part, the very feeble, uncompelling curse of bad luck, and that Mercer, like Ancana before him, has no reason to be this evil when he was already set up for life as a Nightingale, all makes for a messy and uncompelling tale where the twists and turns fall flat at every opportunity. But it had potential, and I do appreciate that they went for something different rather than rehashing the Robin Hood adventures of Oblivion. The problem was that their something different was just incredibly obtuse. The biggest problem, though, and perhaps the reason I'm looking at it perhaps a bit more harshly than I should, is that there's just no thieving. Stealing the ring and planting it in Branchet's pocket really is the most complex bit of thieving we do. Everything else is just a dungeon, really. Golden Glow Estate, kill everyone inside, take loot. Honningbrew, kill everyone inside, put poison in vat. Calcamo's Lab, kill everyone inside, take loot. And everything besides that really are old ruins to be explored like any other. Compare with Oblivion, where thieving and meaningful stealth were an integral part of nearly every quest. In that quest line, you had to get stuff done without getting caught, and if you did, a spot of murder would not make everything alright. Hell, this final quest of that story was glorious, an amazing heist that really pushed the bare-bones stealth mechanics that those games have to the limit. This, on the other hand, has the same problem that the Mages Guild has. It doesn't really feel connected to its setting. It could be argued that since the Nightingales in-universe are unknown to the Guild, even, that we are exploring their story rather than the Guild's, per se. But even then, their story isn't that compelling. Someone was just betrayed a while ago, and now we're avenging them. And I joined the Thieves Guild because I wanted to be a thief, not the champion of yet another god. Sorry if I was a bit harsh and grumpy for that one. I do admit that, feeling-wise, it's not as painful as the Mages Guild. You can get into it, you can enjoy the various bits and bobs that are going on, and the design for Nocturnal at the end was actually rather cool. So, stay tuned for next time, where we delve into the Dark Brotherhood. See you later.